So this morning, Google had their Breakfast with Sundar Pichai event, and up until last week, we had all expected it to be a huge expose on Android 4.3. But last week itself, there were rumors about an upcoming and new Nexus 7 device, as well as a Chrome TV, sort of Apple TV competitor. Well, the rumors were true, and there were two new devices announced yesterday. Well, last night for me, this morning in the America region, which was the new version of the Nexus 7 and the Chromecast TV dongle. Dongle. Anyway, so I'm gonna give you my thoughts and opinions. Many people have uploaded their recap, sort of. I don't think a recap is necessary. You can check out many of the other amazing recaps on YouTube. There's no need for me to upload one. And I'm just gonna give you my thoughts and my personal opinions on the Breakfast with Sundar Pichai event. I just love the way they name it. Google has the best naming strategies. So the Nexus 7 has been around for quite a while. It was probably the most popular small tablet until the iPad mini came out, and it was probably one of the best Android tablets in the world, in my opinion. The only thing I didn't like about it was the thick bezel. Well, anyway, they fixed that now, and the new Nexus 7 has a thinner bezel, a faster processor, and as per everyone was expecting, it did come with a Snapdragon processor. However, I was slightly disappointed when I found out it was a Snapdragon S4 Pro as compared to the Snapdragon 600, which I was expecting because that's a later, newer, current processor, whereas the S4 Pro is last year's model. Apart from that, it has 2 gigabytes of RAM, a sleeker design as I mentioned with a thinner bezel and rear-facing camera. And the biggest change probably was the full 1080p True HD 1900 by 1200 resolution. Now you must be thinking 1900 by 1200 is not 1080p. Well, it actually is. What many people don't realize is that, you know that black bar at the bottom for the soft keys? That actually takes up quite a bit. So when you factor that out, the remaining space of the screen is 1900 by 1080 full HD. Factoid. So Google is claiming that the display on the Nexus 7 is the sharpest, the brightest, and the densest display on any tablet around. We won't know that for sure until we get a hands-on with the tablet ourselves. Another thing that was mentioned with the Nexus 7 was that it would be releasing with Android 4.3. Android 4.3 was sort of underwhelming in my opinion. I was expecting there to be a huge emphasis on Android 4.3 and at least a few, albeit minor, a few good, proper, useful changes. Most of the changes mentioned made no sense. Well, for us, it was great for developers and is great for developers and background processes, but really doesn't have anything on a consumer standpoint. The biggest thing about Android 4.3 that they were touting was the security features and user profile limitations. As you may know, in Android 4.2 they launched user profiles for Android tablets, which meant that you could share a tablet with your friends and your family and have different user accounts, sort of like what Windows did in 1995. They basically developed on that in Android 4.3 by adding features to restrict certain apps to certain users, and they demoed some of that. And the second biggest thing about Android 4.3 that they were touting was the smart Bluetooth or Bluetooth smart feature, which basically doesn't take as much battery and allows you to send more and receive more data via Bluetooth. This is huge on a developer standpoint for apps like the Fitbit Flex, products like the Fitbit Flex and speakers and car, handset, radio stuff, and mostly health and fitness stuff. Other than that, Android 4.3 was nothing else important. They had a few small changes like better touch input, but they didn't demo it, so we won't know what they mean by that. And yeah, that's about it. Moving on, after the announcement of the Nexus 7, Google's boss of Android and Chrome, Sundar Pichai, came on stage and announced the Chromecast, a sort of HDMI dongle, an HDMI dongle that allows you to stream YouTube videos, Netflix videos from your phone or any other device to your TV, sort of like AirPlay mirroring, except this is not coming from your device. You choose the action on your device, and the Chromecast streams it from the cloud. So now there are new buttons in YouTube and even on Chrome for Windows and Mac and the Pixel that allow you to share whatever you're doing on that one tab or one screen onto the Chromecast dongle, which connects via HDMI to your TV. I think this is huge because it negates in the future, after apps develop on it, especially when they get apps like Plex and XBMC running on it, it will negate the need for $99 Apple TVs and $99 Google TVs. Some people want the feature of being able to watch their content on their television from their cloud storage or from their phones and tablets, but they don't want to pay the $99 price point that they have on some Rokus and the Apple TV and the Google TVs. So Chrome has decided to go against this with the Chromecast, which costs about $35 before tax. They always get you with the tax. And what I think the Chromecast is the Nexus Q without the sexy design, insane price point, and useless features. When the Nexus Q came out, there was so much hate for it because of its $299 price tag, its uselessness, and people were Google were expecting to sell a lot because it was made in the USA, and they were expecting people to be patriotic, but that wasn't the case, sadly. And the Nexus Q never really did go on sale, and it disappeared immediately. I believe that the Chromecast will be huge because of the amount of scope they can have for it. Once developers start messing around with it and they start bringing content on it, as I said, Plex and XBMC, and maybe even sometimes when games will be able to start casting onto your TV, even though I am against the idea of mobile gaming and they will never ever ever replace consoles. I think the Chromecast will and can be huge if implemented in the right way. So those are my opinions on Google's Breakfast with Sundar Pichai event. Let me know what you thought about the event, and let me know if you have any thoughts that you would like to add in the comments below. Stay tuned for my next video where I'll be doing stuff with phones and cables. Thank you, and see you next time.